Good morning, everyone. So happy to see you for this class. All the props, blocks, blanket, strap. I'll be cueing each of them, but also you don't need to have any of them, honestly. We're going to continue on with the kind of the theme of like we've moved into fall. For me, it doesn't feel so much like it, but I know that astronomically we're moving that direction. I know you guys are already there. And so we talked a little bit, I think, last week about the fall season and how it's characterized by the dosha vata, which is movement, windiness, change, kind of chaotic, but also really creative. And so in this practice, we're going to attempt to do some balancing work with that. So while embracing some of that, like that movement, that creativity, but also moving from our pelvis mostly. So you're going to kind of feel like the practice is kind of like focused there, or at least that's where you're like emanating from. And so if you're familiar with the chakra system, in one of those variations of the chakra system that is pretty widely known, the most bottom part of your body, like your most bottom part of your pelvis, is it's called muladhara, and it's associated with like your security and your foundation and things that are like really stable. And then you go up just a little bit, and then that chakra is associated with your creativity and your desires and things like this. And so that's called svadisthana. And so again, with this practice, like kind of like putting all of that together, we're in the fall season. There's a lot of movement. We don't want to reject all that movement. We want to embrace it, but also find some stability within it. So again, we're going to be moving from the pelvis and thinking about those kind of like two spots that are like both your foundation and also being able to tap into your own creativity, your own desire. So physically, a lot of pelvic stuff. So yeah, and so with that, we're going to actually start the sequence on our backs in a reclined bound angle pose. So that's Supta Baddha Konasana. And so for this, you might choose to use your blocks, like you plan to place your feet together, knees wide on your back. You might take the blocks and place them underneath your thighs. You might take the blanket and then wrap it over the tops of your legs. Give yourself that support that way, tops of your ankles, I should say. And if you don't want to use them at all, that's also fine. Just set the strap off to the side. There is also a way to use your strap, in a way that can support you in your bound angle pose. So if you know that one, you can go for it. Otherwise, just settle in. And then when you're ready to close your eyes, if you are ready, let your eyelids drop closed. And you can choose to place your hands wherever you'd like. You might have your hands on your thighs, on your belly, alongside your body, as though you're coming into like a shavasana-like state. And start to recognize just some of those sensations that are in the body. Where there might be tension or ease, temperature. And again, kind of if you're interested in that idea of moving from that place of both foundation and your creativity, maybe send your attention and just become a little bit more aware of some of the sensations in your pelvic area. And then maybe even lift up the hips, slide the tailbone forward and release back down. Sometimes that can create a sensation of spreading. Then allow yourself to recognize the pattern of your breath. The connection between your mind and your body. Ever present. And then on to your thoughts. And just notice if there's been any times in which lately you've been able to find a sense of ease or peace within the movement around you. Yes, great, that's kind of what we're going for. Sometimes it feels almost like a state of flow. And if not, that's all right. We're going to see what we can do about practicing that experience. And if you've got something else you'd rather focus on, that's perfectly fine. And we'll take a few breaths together. First, just allow the air to escape. And then when you're ready, draw in a very deep breath in. All the way to the top. And exhale, let it go. All the way down to the belly. Take another deep breath in. Maybe a little bit easier, softer through the belly and the face. Exhale when you're ready. And then once more. Take your hands to the backs of your thighs, then gently draw the knees toward each other. If you used any props, just kind of set them to the side. And just find a moment of stillness first, with the knees up with the feet generally flat on the ground. And then very soft, draw the knees to the chest for winter leaving pose. So I'm going to keep this one kind of loose at first. You could come in real tight if you'd like. And then perhaps find some movement of rocking from side to side or making some circles with the knees. And then keep the right knee and extend the left leg out long. Just drop it down to the ground. We'll take a supine twist. Right knee comes over to the left, right arm out as a counterbalance. Adjust as you would like. And then soften through that bottom leg, the left one. On an exhale, come onto the back. Give that right knee just a little bit of a squeeze in towards your chest. And then extend the right leg out long. Pull the left knee in. And then we'll take that twist over to the other side as well. Left arm comes out to balance you. Soften through the right leg. Apparently there's an intruder. Kind of take care of that. So come back onto your back and draw the knees back into your chest and go back into some of that wind relieving pose, maybe some of that rolling around. All right, and from here, we're gonna take a kind of a big movement. We're gonna go all the way from this wind relieving pose to a downward facing dog. So any way you want to get there, maybe you've got lots of gas in the tank, going around up and down like the spine and hop through, just roll to one side. But make your way to Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward facing dog. Pedal up the feet, find your version of this posture. Allow the knees to bend as much as you would like. Draw the belly button to the spine. Send the hips back toward the heels. And then spread the shoulder blades away from each other. So it feels like almost like you're like splitting your mat apart with your hands. And you'll notice like the inner elbows might start to roll forward toward the front of your mat instead of elbows out to the side, like the elbows come back. That's great. You might come out of that deep bend in your back, but it's probably more sustainable and it's super, super strong. So allow yourself to find that. And then bend your knees, look towards the top of your mat, walk to the top or hop, however you want to get there. And then just take a ragdoll pose at the top of your mat. Bend through your knees. Maybe take your elbows in each other's hands. Or, if you're really into like some significant stuff, clasp hands behind the skull. Sway or find some stillness. And then switch out your grip. And when you're ready, release your fingertips down. One time, take a halfway lift. Fingertips press against something. Reach the heart forward. Press the feet down and away. Exhale to fold. And for this one time, take your hands to your hips. Point the elbows toward the sky. Roll the shoulders on the back. Press through the feet. Come up all the way to standing. And then release the arms alongside the body for Tadasana, our first mountain pose. Sweep the fingertips up and then take the right fingertips to the left wrist and then arc over to the right. So options here, you can either press down to the left foot, like really kind of anchoring down, or sweep the left foot behind you and kind of get the like, Barbie foot. You're on your the ball of your foot. And so you get a little crisscross and you've got this stretch. The idea is you're coming across the left hip or maybe even left hip flexor. All right, come back to center, release the grip, and then take left fingertips to the right wrist, arch to the right, and again, either press down to the right foot or swivel the right foot behind you so it's on the opposite side of the left foot, and then continue that good work. Wrap the ribs left to right. We're gonna come back to that cue, and also we're gonna come back to a cue several times where you're drawing the belly button backwards. So you're kind of taking out the arch of the low spine. You're just not allowing it to become really pronounced, I should say. You're keeping kind of like a natural arch rather than it's being excessive. All right, and then come back to center. Keep the fingertips lifted. And let's take cactus arms, elbows down, lift up on the hips. Again, you got that same cue, right? So we're taking the arc into the upper back right now, just a little tiny squeeze to your bum, like help yourself out here. You want to be supported. All right, and then for fun, palms toward your face. Extend the arms up and back, huge arch. Exhale, spin the hips back. Come all the way forward, forward fold. Oh yeah, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, offer the heart up. Exhale to fold. Step back to the top of your plank pose. So we're going to stay here for just a couple breaths. I promise not for terribly long. Inner elbows roll forward. And again, kind of bring that attention back to like the pelvic area if that interests you. And then knees up or down. You're going to lower all the way down to the ground. Keep your elbows in toward the ribcage so you can keep the shoulder heads lifted. Nice and safe. Yes. All right. Untuck the toes. Flare them out, elbows up, lift up into your cobra pose, lift up to the back of the heart, and give yourself the support, right? Like your hips are connected to the ground and you're pressing through your hands. Draw the belly button to the spine, see if you can lift up to the upper back, kind of like in that standing back bend where you're taking. And then exhale, take it right back down. Press up to your hands and knees. Take your knees a little bit wider, perhaps. Toes to touch. Send your hips back to your heels. Really active child's pose. So really keep the arms extended. And so depending on your anatomy, your elbows might come away from the ground, mine do. Yours might not, but like see if you can find like that stretch arm. And if you're like, oof, this is a lot, take your hands a little bit wider. Give yourself space through your shoulders, all right? And then you might come up on the finger pads and then claw at the mat. Maybe walk the fingertips forward like half an inch as you pull the hips back. Continue to do that same good work like you were doing your downward facing dog, where you're rolling your inner elbows toward the sky. So it's like you're trying to make the bony elbow part point down to the ground. I don't know if that's actually possible, but kind of like move as though it was. And you'll start to feel that kind of like stretch perhaps between the shoulder blades. You might feel it come all the way down the body. And again, you're kind of like moving from that pelvic space. All right, when you're ready, lift up halfway, take the arms and the torso over to the right. And if you want a little bit more zhuzh, again, finger pads are pressing the mat, and then maybe dip the left shoulder just a little bit. All right, then swivel on over to the other side when you're ready. Still kind of keeping that active version. Take the pose out of the mouth. All right, come back to center. And then just press up to your hands and your knees. Maybe make the shins parallel if that's acceptable with your anatomy. And then give yourself just like a little bit of movement. That was like a whole lot of shoulder business. And we'll do a couple cow and cat. So release the buttons of the hips, slide heart forward, inner elbows roll forward as well. Maybe jump the chin up. Exhale, wrap the hips toward the ribs. Cat pose, press the mat away from you. Get a big stretch across the back of your body. Inhale, swivel forward to cow. Exhale, draw into cat. And then just once more in your own. All right, come back to neutral. Walk the hands forward a little bit. When you're ready, downward facing dog once again. Any way you want to get there. If you want to do like a vinyasa on the way up, you can. Allow yourself to find the posture. And maybe pedal out the feet if you'd like. All right, let's get to it. When you're ready, sweep the right leg up toward the sky. Bend the knee, open up the head. Maybe give yourself a circle with the knee in one direction and then the other. Or you could just keep it nice and open. And then re-square the hips, straighten the leg. Lift up the left heel, draw the right knee toward the chest, shift forward, and then step the foot between the hands. Cool. We're going to take the hybrid downward facing dog. So get the lower body kind of in warrior two. So I like to pop the foot in a little bit. It helps me seal down the outer edge. Maybe pick up your block. We're going to take the torso and the arms over toward the left. So we're really working the right knee over to the right. Continue to press to the outer edge of the left foot. So that I feel like this posture is a kind of like a nice example of finding some kind of, peace in something that's like a little weird, a little awkward. All right, then when you're ready, walk the hands back to frame the front foot, organize yourself. Oh, actually, let's not do that. Let's scratch that. I'm changing the plan. You're over in your downward facing dog hybrid. I want you to continue moving over to the left. Take the right toes with you. Prasarita Padottanasana, wide-legged fold. That's what I want. So again, you might have your blocks with you, toes slightly in, heel slightly out. Inhale, lift up halfway. Press through the outsides of the feet, roll the inner thighs back. You might bend the knees here. And then on your exhale, start to dip the chest toward the mat, whatever amount makes sense to you. Roll the weight towards the balls of the feet just a little bit. And let your hands touch something. So it might be the ground, it might be your thighs, it might be your calves or your feet. But see if you can keep that grip kind of like lower-ish. 2 more breaths here. See if you can make the spine really long. And then when you're ready, if you've got a grip on something, just let it go. We're going to lift up at a halfway inhale. And then we're going to pivot back towards the front of the mat. Turn the right toes back to point toward the front. Warrior 2, however you want to get there. So you might straighten the leg and open up, or you might keep the knee bent. It's the first time coming into Warrior 2 on the side, so give yourself time. And so even here, you're going to just draw the hips toward the ribs a little bit, kind of drawing everything in. It's like that everything is originating from that pelvic region. Reach the left fingertips back as much as you're reaching through the right. Even feel the left shoulder head pull back, because sometimes we've got this tendency for the shoulder like pop forward. Feel free to manipulate yourself. Take your hand to the left shoulder and just reach it away. Okay, flip the right palm, drop the left, keeping the right knee and the hips down to the ground. Lift up and back. Exalted warrior, peaceful warrior. Big stretch to the right side of the body. I already took one big crescent shape earlier, so we're doing this again. Deep breath in. On your exhale, spiral over to your side angle pose. So forearm to the thigh, lifting your tips to the ceiling. You might want to take your hands down to a block to the ground, and you might be like really like a lot of movement in the shoulder, and you want to take it left arm overhead. So that would be like upper arm over the left ear, if you prefer. Totally up to you. Continue to press through the outer edge of the left foot. Continue to allow the hips to descend toward the ground, right? This is like a beautiful partnership. And like I was talking about earlier, draw the belly button and spine, rotate the ribs right to left. 2 more breaths here, that's all. And take a gaze toward the right foot if you're not there already. And you're going to pivot on the ball of the left foot. You're going to come to a low lunge. So again, you might have your hands on top of your blocks. Let yourself kind of settle in. That was a lot of hip stuff. And then you're going to heel toe the right foot out to the side. My gosh, we're getting into it already. We're going to take lizard pose. So option to drop the left knee or keep it elevated. This is totally up to what you're interested in doing. If you drop the left knee, you'll notice that maybe the hips feel a little bit more secure. If you prefer it up and feels secure to you, do the one that works best. And feel free to bring your blocks in, of course. Inhale, reach the heart forward, give yourself just a little bit of opening, kind of cultivate the opposite. And then on your exhale, start to bend through your elbows, maybe take forearms to the blocks, or maybe all the way down to the ground. And then soften through the teeth. Stop the gripping, stop the clenching. Find some ease there. Just 2 more breaths here, that's and after that second exhale, begin to press back up onto your hands. If the back knee was dropped, lift it up. And you're going to heel toe that right foot back in. I'm going to use my blocks here. You don't have to at all. And then we're going to put a little bit of a pulse with the left foot. You're going to step the left foot in only about 1/4 to 1/3 of the way. And then angle it down about 45 degrees because we're coming into our pyramid pose. So this is where, blocks can be really advantageous. We do have 3 heights. The front leg doesn't even need to be straight. So inhale, lift up halfway, draw the right hand to the right hip crease, and then actually notch it back. And you'll kind of like, maybe if you want to take your hands to both hips, you'll feel like, oh, I've got my hip points pointing the same direction opposed to like, probably tilted over to the left. Probably, not necessarily. And then when you're ready, you're going to find that length of the spine. Keep the right hip pulled back. Lift up on the arch of the left foot. Feel the inner left thigh roll back. And on your exhales, start to draw the chest toward the thigh. You could even draw the chin in toward the chest. You guys are familiar with this experience. It kind of affects the back chain. So if you're interested in that kind of sensation, then you could go there, but you don't have to. Or maybe just like a little bit of both, kind of like threading in and out with the chin. All right, and then another option if you want to take it. Inhale, lift up halfway. Lift the right toes up so that the toes are reaching toward the shin. And then take your pyramid pose. Soften through your breath. Give yourself just 2 more breaths here. And then if the right foot is lifted, surrender the sole down to the ground. Point the left heel up toward the ceiling so all heels and toes are in the same direction. Bend through the front knee. And then step the left foot to the top of the mat. Either toes together and heels slightly apart or regular hips with distance. Send your booty back, get to low, and then come to your Utkatasana. Much too much pose, fierce pose. Draw the belly button in. Again, we're just kind of like finding that natural curve of the back and not just letting it get like a little bit over accentuated. Again, we're moving from the pelvis, soften through the shoulders. Feel free to take the arms a little wider. 1 more breath in here. And on the exhale, come all the way to standing. Really stretch up tall. And then draw the hands to the heart. Take a deep breath in through the nose. And then surrender it out. You can leave your hands at heart center in Samastiti, right? Or this posture is Samastiti, I should say. Or release your arms alongside the body for mountain pose, Tadasana. Return to your breath. Maybe you've noticed that the eyelids have closed. That's cool. And if they have closed, leave them open. Just flutter your eyes open. And then on an inhale, sweep the fingertips up toward the ceiling. On the exhale, forward fold, hinge at the hips, take it all the way down. 1 time, halfway lift, reach the heart out. Exhale to fold, step back to top of plank pose. And then option to take a vinyasa of any kind you would like. And then, I'll find you in downward facing dog. And you might choose, if you're interested, to take that cobra pose where the pelvis is down for the ground and grounded, or you might take something else. But I'll see you there. Notice that any parts have gotten tight. There's been some tension shifting. See if you can bring some ease into those areas. And then when you're ready, left leg lifts up toward the ceiling, bend the knee, open up through the hip. And then if you're interested, take a big circle or a small circle in one direction and then the other. Again, originating from this pelvic hip area. And then straighten the left leg out behind you. Lift up the right heel. Deep breath in. Exhale, pull the left knee to the chest. Forward. Step the left foot between the hands toward the left thumb. Use the left hand to guide. I'm going to take that same funny pose. So pop the right foot in a little bit, angle it down, and then take the forearms and the arms, I should say all of them, and the torso to the right, downward facing dog hybrid. Maybe let the hips drop down to the ground as you bring the left knee to the left. Just 2 more breaths here. And then continue that journey you started. Take the arms, the hands, the left foot is going to pivot inward. So you're at the long side of the right side of the mat for Prasarita to Padottanasana, wide-legged forward fold. Make sure the toes are pointed in slightly at least. And then inhale, lift up halfway. Press through the outer edges of the feet till the inner thighs roll back. It's okay to have bent knees. And then exhale, take it back down. And again, I invite you to either keep the hands on the ground, maybe start walking them back behind you or between the feet, or you could take your hands to the toes, your legs. But again, just maybe kind of keeping it, kind of grounded. Follow your breath. Roll the inner thighs back. 2 breaths. And when you're ready, come back, lift up halfway and then inhale. And on the exhale, you're going to pivot back to the front of that, point the left toes forward, and then unravel to your warrior 2. Spiral up and open. Again, you might kind of come out of the bend of the front knee first. Right fingertips pull back, left fingertips forward, right hip comes forward and down. And when you're ready, flip your left palm, drop the right. Exalted warrior, peaceful warrior, take it up. Stretch to the left side, breathe into that spaciousness, and then use it on the exhale, carried all the way forward for your side angle pose. Or extended side angle with the upper arm over the ear. And again, left hand could be anywhere you'd like. Just draw the hips toward the ribs, rotate the ribs left to right. Again, finding that natural curve of the spine rather than something else. And if you've got the right arm over the ear, see if you can make it so that the pinky is pointed down. So you're drawing the shoulder away from the ear, reaching forward and down at the pinky. 2 breaths. Look down to the left foot if you're not there already. And you pivot the right heel toward the sky. Take the hands down to frame the front foot. You're in a low lunge. Allow yourself to lift some blocks if you'd like. And you're going to heel toe the left foot over to the left. Again, we're going to take that lizard pose. So feel free to take blocks. Reach heart forward on the inhale. The right knee can be ascended or descended. And on your exhale, do start to lower the arms toward, bend the elbows or hands to blocks, arms to blocks, to the ground, whatever you'd like. Notice if you're gripping anywhere with your fingers. Soften it up. Just 2 minutes. And then you're ready to start to press the hands, lift up the back knee. And then heel toe the left foot back in. So you're framing the foot with your hands. Again, you might be using your blocks here. A little bit of a pulse through the right foot. You're going to step the foot forward just about a third or just a quarter of the way. Angle it down, 45 degrees-ish. And again, blocks are welcome here. And if this side doesn't feel right, just point the heel to the sky. It's a really, really good way to fit the pose to your body, because we don't care about fitting our bodies to the pose. It's much more about adjusting the posture. All right, take the left hand to the left hip, reach it back, reach the heart forward. And then again, if you've got all the balance in the world, you might take your hands to your hip points and be like, oh, I see, when they're kind of pointing the same way. All right, then take your hands back down to wherever they're supporting. On the exhale, draw the chest toward the thigh. Like we talked about, option to draw the chin of the chest if you want that. Or a little bit of spreading. Feel the inner right thigh roll back and the left thigh roll back as well. Press through the feet. All right, and then you're interested in that other variation, lift up halfway, pull the left toes up so they're reaching toward the left shin, and then take your pyramid pose just like that. And again, feel free to allow the knees to bend here. All right, if you've got that left foot lifted, surrender the sole of the foot to the ground, lift up about halfway, point the right heel toward the ceiling if it's not there already, and then step all the way to the top of the mat. And then either take your toes together, the heels apart, or your hips with distance, and then send the bum back, Utkatasana, keeping the hips pretty low again, originating from the pelvis, lift up the arms, wrap the pinkies toward each other, maybe take the arms real wide. Send the weight a little bit more back to the heels. One more deep breath in. And on the exhale, come up all the way to standing. Draw the hands to your heart center, to the seat of your heart. You can leave the hands here, release the arms alongside the body, maybe allow the eyelids to close. Take a deep breath in through the nose. And then surrender it out. Send your thoughts back to your intention. If there was wandering, the wandering is a part of the practice. It's the bringing back. Bringing the back is the work. And bringing it back to the sensations of what things feel like under your feet, the palms of your hands, the back of your neck. And then again, sending the attention back to that pelvic region, that area. Right, so closed. Flutter them open, bringing in some visual stimuli once again. And then on an inhale, sweep fingertips toward the sky, send the gaze up. Exhale, hinge at the hips, forward fold. One time halfway lift, offer the heart out. And then fold once again. Take your vinyasa or skip it, any choices that you would like. Make sure that you've allowed yourself 2 rounds of breath in your downward facing dog. And then once you've come to that, take the knees to the mat, toes to touch, hips toward your heels. This time take a more relaxed child's pose. If you like the active one with the arms outstretched, then do that. Otherwise, just let the arms become a little bit softer, maybe even taking the hands alongside the body, hands closer to the feet. And then slowly press your hands in. All we're going to do is come to our backs. Grab your strap. Unravel the strap. And you're going to place it, or if you can't use the strap, you're going to have to. If you've got a lasso, also you could lasso your foot. And then reach the right heel toward the ceiling. Pull the right heel forward. Sorry. Notice that the right heel is going to tilt in. You're going to hide it behind the toes and then press the right hip down and forward, then hide the heel again. The left knee can remain bent, or you can extend it out. If you've got your leg outstretched, press to the back of the knee and flex to the foot. All right. Start to slowly draw the right thigh toward the chest. Don't have to go very far, and you don't even need to have your leg straight. You don't have to have the knee straight. Just follow your breath here. Take the posture out of your face. All right, soften that, let the leg come up. Send both ends of the strap to the right hand. Turn the right toes to the right. This time you're really exposing the right heel. Drop the right leg over to the right. Left arm comes out as a counterbalance. And again, you could choose to keep the left leg outstretched or bend the knee. If the leg is stretched, see if you can kind of anchor down through that left hip here. And when you're ready, take the right leg back up toward the ceiling. Release the strap, give yourself a little bit of a squeeze at the right knee in. All right, and then set the right foot down. We're gonna do the same thing on the other side. So we're not doing the full series, but we're doing part of it. Strap to the base of the left foot or hand somewhere on the leg, wherever you like. And then choose what you'd like to do with that right leg. Hide the left heel behind the toes. Feel the left hip draw forward. Notice the heel poked out again. Hide it again. Beautiful, beautiful dance. And then start to draw the left thigh toward the chest, either using your hands behind the leg or to the strap. I'm using the strap, obviously. And then if the right leg is outstretched, remember to press down through the back of the right knee. Press out through the foot. Soften through your lips. All right, then soften everything about the left leg and the grip and send the straps to the left hand. Turn left toes to the left, expose the heel. Drop the leg over to the side. Right arm comes out to balance you. And then, of course, if that right leg is extended, see if you can anchor down through the right hip. So we're trying to find some balance and equality. So it's like if you were standing up, you'd actually be able to maintain this posture. We're not going to do that today. Or at least on this sequence. You might do it. All right, when you're ready, take the leg back up toward the ceiling. Send the strap away. Draw the left knee to the chest. Just give yourself a little bit of a squeeze. And when you're ready, draw the right knee in as well. So when you're leaving pose, feel free to rock from side to side or take those knee circles. And then any way you want to get there. Tabletop pose. Spread your fingertips wide, shins generally parallel. And then take a cow and cat. Drop the belly, reach the heart forward, sit up the chin for your inhale for your cow, and exhale, pull it into your cat. All right, and then here, you can stay grounded and stay here, or continue to move through the pelvis. You can take a cow-cat flow, sending the hips back to your heels. Inhale, rise to your knees, lift up. Exhale, surrender down. Inhale, thread the heart forward for cow. Exhale, press the mat away, wrap the spine upward for cat. Descend the hips back toward the heels. And so take your movements however you'd like. And even in this cow-cat flow, or even in your regular cow-cat, you might choose to take, cactus arms or find a twist. Allow yourself to move in the way that your body has requested. A little bit of time here for you to explore and express your practice. Allow yourself to kind of finish out whatever you have to be doing. Take your time, you've got time. And then eventually you'll come back to downward facing dog. Maybe allow yourself a strengthening inhale and a soothing release. And then when you are ready, and then inhale, sweep the right leg toward the sky, lift up the left heel, pull right knee toward the chest, and then place the foot between the hands. We're going to go directly into a warrior two. So angle the left foot down, unravel, spiral open, or find a way that makes sense for you. This might not be the entrance that you like. Flip the right palm, drop the left, exalted warrior. Take that peaceful warrior, line the hips to still feel the grounding. And all that space on the right side, spiral over to your side angle pose or your extended side angle. Let's block this time. Continue to wrap the hips toward the ribs. Rotate the ribs right to left, creating space between the left ear and the shoulder. All right, this time you're going to look down toward the right foot and spiral all the way down to your low lunge. Once again, let's take lizard pose. Heel toe the right foot over to the right. I like to have my toes kind of point at an angle as well. This works on the hips. Inhale, heart comes forward. Exhale, surrender into your lizard pose, however it may be. On top of blocks, maybe the back knee is lifted, perhaps it's softened. Two more breaths. And then when you're ready, you're going to start to straighten the arms or come back onto the palms. We're going to do some fun stuff. Leave your right foot where it is. And then start to pulse with the left foot. Yep. We're going to take malasana. When you're ready on the exhale, left foot comes to the outside, the left hand. Maybe it takes a couple steps. Heels out, toes in. And then start to nestle the hips back down toward the ground. Feel free to use a block underneath your bum. Elbows to the insides of your thighs. Palms to touch. Reach the shoulder blades back and down. Press through the feet. Again, feel that perhaps if you're into this focus of class, that this posture is emanating from your pelvis. Two more breaths. And then release your hands down to the blocks, to the ground. Start to press the hips upward. And then heel toe the feet back in, either toes to touch or feet hips width distance. Send the booty back, lift up the arms and the chest. Utkatasana, much too much. One deep breath in. Exhale, come up all the way to standing. Really extend. And then take the hands back to the heart center. Feel free to let the eyelids drop closed. Lift up through the back of the skull. Relax the muscles of the back down. Return to your breath. And then in your time, when you're ready, take yourself back to downward facing dog. There's no expectation except that your practice is sustainable and honest to you. From downward facing dog, whenever you're ready, inhale, left leg lifts toward the sky, lift up the right heel, exhale, draw the knee to the chest, and then step between the hands for your low lunge. And then come to your warrior two when you're ready. Take your entrance. It might not be the same one that I prefer, so know your practice. At this point, it's about your own coming into the posture in a way that is foundational, and you can move from your place of desire as well as stability. Flip your left palm, drop the right, exalted warrior, peaceful warrior, keep it big and open. And then on the exhale, spiral forward for your side angle or perhaps extended side angle. Rotating your ribs left to right. And then again, just taking out that over exaggeration of the arch in the low back. Moving from the pelvis. Everything originating from here. And then send the gaze down to the front foot. Pivot the right heel toward the ceiling. Let the right hand come down. And we move into lizard pose again. So heel toe, left foot out to the side. Feel free to point the toes at an angle. Reach the heart forward. Deep breath in. And then come into your lizard pose. Soften through your lips and your jaw. And then start to straighten the arms, lift up the back knee, and then find a little pulse with the right foot. When you're ready, on an exhale, step the right foot to the outside of the right hand. And we'll take malasana, garland pose. Descend the hips. And again, also, one of the other things I forgot to mention the first time we did this is that if the heels are lifted, you can place something underneath them, like a blanket or a pillow. A block is probably going to like tilt you forward too far, but something squishy and rolled up is going to give you some of that opportunity. You can also roll up the front end of your mat and just stand on top of that. That's a really, really good option to adjust the pose to your body. And if you're feeling like really sassy right now, you might even take something like crow pose if you're interested in playing. Wherever you are, see if you can emanate the posture from the pelvis, from muladhara and svadisthana. And then no rush at all from where you are. You've got time. You'll start to come to that forward fold. So let the hands come down. Help your hips up that way. Heel toe the feet back. First, give yourself a little bit of a ragdoll pose. Switch out your grip. Ragdoll pose the other way if you took a grip. And then release the fingertips. Okay. Big toes to touch or heels slightly, or feet hips with distance. Drop the hips back, lift the heart and the arms. We're coming into Utkatasana. Shift the weight back. Really strong, deep breath in. Exhale, come up all the way to standing. Straighten up, maybe even lift up through the heart. And then on the exhale, hands to the heart center. in samastiti. Samastiti, that is. Allow the eyelids to drop closed if comfortable. Return back to the breath, return back to perhaps any sensations of energy movement through the body. If you don't feel that, that's fine. Flex down the muscles at the back. Lift up through the heart and ground down through the feet. And then in your time, when you're ready, all the time you'd like, take your path back to downward facing dog. Maybe just have some salutation A or not. Move when you're ready. Make sure you've given yourself about 2 rounds of breath in your downward facing dog. And then again, come to your child's pose, drop the knees. And you can make this a soft, relaxed child's pose or one that is active. We'll be here for 4 breaths. And then when you're ready, move slowly. You're going to come onto your back. If you've got a block or you've got something like, a blanket, bring it along with you. And then keep the knees bent all the way down. We'll take a supported bridge pose. So maybe walking the heels a little bit closer to you. Press through the feet, slide the hips up. And then take your prop and then place it underneath your sacrum. So again, the sacral area, right? Allowing that to be supported here. Like an actual elevation. And also literal and figurative elevation of that region of your body. Just sink into whatever prop you've got. If you don't have a prop, just having your hips on the ground. And exhale, offer to you. Consider moving slowly. Maybe extend one leg out in front of you or both. And so you might find if you went to a higher side of the block that you want to change it, or maybe you want to adjust the placement of the block a little bit. Or you might choose not to do the extension at all. Just do move carefully. Next posture of our sequence will be Shavasana. We've got lots of time. So you could choose to stay in whatever posture you're on. You might take another inversion, like the feet toward the ceiling, or you might take another twist. But take your time and then eventually make your way to your Shavasana. And your Shavasana might mimic the first thing we did in this sequence, which was feet together, knees wide, in that reclined angle, Supta Baddha Konasana. So just take your time in moving toward the end of this sequence. And then when you're ready, note that you have taken time to seek an attentive rest, relative stillness through your body so that you may simply experience your existence. Slowly begin to deepen your breath. Notice any sensations, emotions, something else that you happen to feel within you. Notice the boundaries of your physical body. And then imagine that those boundaries could extend further out. If any of the sensations or feelings that you might have right now feels something like peace or serenity, imagine that that feeling spills out that space beyond your physical boundaries and surround yourself with this. And then slowly begin to invite some movement into the physical body when you're ready. And then roll over to your side. Pause for a moment. And then with closed eyes or a soft gaze, come to a seated posture for a brief meditation. On an inhale, when you're ready, sweep your arms out and up, palms to press above you, and on your exhale, take your thumbs to the space between your eyebrows for clarity of thought, to your lips for clarity of speech, and then to your heart for clarity of action. Bow your head to your heart in honor, humility, and gratitude for this practice and each other. There's ability to find our own creativity and stability and foundation within movement and change. And also recognizing this within others, helping us find the peace within between. Thank you so much for sharing part of your practice with me. I cannot wait to see you do your practice out in the world. So I send you back in the name of the highest good. Welcome back, yogis. Namaste.